I've just had the privilege of turning 41, and so I wanted to share with you 41 insights about work, life, and money. If you don't know me, my name is Mark, and I try and educate and help people on the benefits of saving for later in life. So my content is heavily focused on pensions and investing, but I occasionally dip into budgets and stuff. If that sounds like something of interest to you, don't forget to like and subscribe at the end of the video. Now onto the list. You don't have to have things figured out when you leave school. I left school thinking I wanted to move into finance and accounting, and whilst I do now make financial content and spent 15 years in the finance sector, I did change careers at the age of 33 to move into tech. So no matter what you choose to do for GCSEs, A-levels or your degree, you can change and you're not fixed to that particular path. Have children young enough that you're able to enjoy them, but make sure you're set up properly first, because being a poor parent is no fun at all. I had my first child very early, and that kind of set the tone for my finances in my very late teens and early 20s, and it doesn't get any easier. Travel whilst you're child free. It only gets harder as you become a parent. Traveling with young children is no fun. Spend those years of freedom once you've left education and into work, traveling the world and seeing as much as possible. It gets considerably more difficult as you get older, and now I will have to wait till my early retirement before I can do the same. It's one of my biggest regrets in life. Work experience is better than a degree, and that is a hill I am willing to die on. Someone that leaves school or education at 18 and works from 18 to 21 in a particular sector will be streets ahead of someone doing education in that particular field as well. 3 years of experience versus a recent graduate is 100% going to open more doors for you in terms of your career longevity. Hard work wins more than you think. Don't use credit cards until you're able to use them properly. Credit cards aren't inherently bad. Paying interest on your credit card balance is. So don't get a credit card until you are financially mature enough to understand the benefits of using them. They are great for offering protection around purchases, but you must clear the balance every single month, otherwise they're a very, very slippery slope. Don't buy things with Klarna or other similar pay-in-3 services. If you can't afford to purchase it now, then save that money for 3 months and buy it in 3 months' time. Delayed gratification is a thing, and during that 3-month period where you're saving for that purchase, you may change your mind or realize that money could be spent better elsewhere. Start paying into your pension as soon as you enter full-time work. The reason for this is because time is the greatest benefit of your pension investments, less so than the amount that you put in. By investing from 18 to say 50, you will get far more for your money in terms of growth. And if you're employed, you're also getting a benefit of employer contributions. And if you don't take that, it's just leaving money on the table. Walk every day. Not only is it good for the body, but it's also good for the mind. Some of my best thinking time happens whilst I'm out and about on a walk. And complementary to that, don't feel guilty for having a music or audio subscription. If walking or running is your thing and is your escape, then you don't have to feel guilty about wanting to do that free of adverts. Learn how to budget and stick to it. Having things crop up unexpectedly and totally derail your finance is down to poor budgeting and nothing else. Use sinking funds for anything that you know is going to crop up throughout the year, and make sure you've got an emergency fund for anything else. Build your emergency fund before any saving. As I mentioned, an emergency fund stops your budget going off track. Initially trying to get £1,000 set aside, and then once you're a bit more established and you know what your core monthly outgoings are, try to build that to 3 to 6 months, depending on the job that you work in. The higher risk job you've got, the more you should have in your emergency. Invest from a very early age. Pension aside, we have a stocks and shares ISA here in the UK, which allows you to invest up to £20,000 per financial year. Make the most of that where you can. I cannot emphasize enough the amount of money that I would have and the financial freedom that would afford me at the age of 41 had I started when I was 18. Senior state pension won't exist when you retire. Now, there is nothing to suggest that it won't, but if you do get there and it doesn't exist and you haven't prepared for that, then you're going to be in for a rough ride. Make sure you're putting enough into your pension to be able to fully support you during retirement. And if the state pension is there when you get there, brilliant, that's a bonus. Great content online before you even know what you want to say. Building an audience and having people truly support and like what you do is priceless, and it will open doors to you that you never knew existed. Read the top 10 best-selling finance books. They will teach you everything you ever needed to know about money. You can teach yourself the skills required for a lot of high-paying careers. Photography, videography, software engineering, those sorts of things. A lot of those do not require a degree and therefore any formal training, and you can teach yourself with things like YouTube and Udemy courses. Service-based business have great margins, are very easy to set up with a very low cost of starting up. Think window cleaning, gutter cleaning, office and home cleaning. Very, very simple, low skill, but high margin businesses to start if you want to get something off the ground. They're all businesses with a very low barrier to entry, and you can easily earn between £300 and £500 a day just on your own. Brand loyalty will cost you money over time. Have you ever wondered why new customers get better deals than your existing deal? That's because new customers are more important to them. But once they've got you, they just want to keep hiking up your prices. Brands don't offer any loyalty to you, you should do the same to them. Abuse the bank switching offers as often as you possibly can. After a little bit of research, I totted up there's around £1,000 worth of bank switching offers on at the moment, and you can usually recycle them every 2 to 3 years. Create a couple of burner accounts, set up some really low direct debits, and then jump between all of the different banks until you've exhausted them. They tend to have terms and conditions where you can't claim that again for another 2 to 3 years. Be the person driving a £2,000 car with £50,000 invested, rather than the other way around. New cars are a waste of money, and the most economical way to drive here in the UK is Bangonomic. Buy yourself a banger for £1,500 to £2,000, get it to last you 1 to 2 years, and your average cost is considerably lower than getting something on finance. And it's usually got a £200 or £300 scrap value at the end of it. A £2,000 car that lasts you 2 years will cost you around £83 per month. And at the end of those 2 years, you may be able to claw back £200 or £300 at the bare minimum. Relationships are hard, and learning to communicate, compromise, and pick your own battles will be better for everyone involved. That said, have your principles and do not let them be compromised. If someone doesn't value them or you, then they probably don't deserve your time or effort. There is someone out there for you. Make time for yourself. Over time, you will begin to lose your identity. You'll stop doing things you love for whatever reason. Carve out a little bit of time for yourself every single week. It's very good for the soul. Don't cheap out on things that separate you from the floor. Think car tires, bed and mattress, shoes. Go high quality that lasts. Safety and comfort is of utmost importance. Understand your tax allowances. ISA, pension, and capital gains tax in particular. A lot of people leave money on the table every single year. Compound interest works both ways. Whilst it's great for investments, credit card debt with high interest can spiral out of control very, very quickly. Saying no is a very difficult skill to master. Whether that's saying no to your friends to doing something you may regret or can't afford, or saying no to yourself for that impulse buy. Master it as soon as you possibly can. Your health is your biggest asset. Spend your 20s and 30s being in the best shape of your life, because once you tick over to 40, it gets considerably harder to maintain. I've been trying to get into shape for the last 6 or 7 years, and it's taken an absolutely huge push from January this year to start to drop the weight. Comparison really is the thief of joy, and social media has made that more difficult than ever now to avoid. Stop comparing yourself to others, make a life plan, and compare yourself to where you were last year, a few years ago, 5, 10 years. Let that be the only comparison you make. Having a side income will change your relationship with your job considerably. Having the freedom to pick and choose what you do for a living because you're making money on the side makes life considerably easier. Even £500 per month gives you options. To do that, just learn a skill that you can do very easily on the side. Content creation, web design, writing, those sorts of things. As you get older, remember, your parents are aging too, and so don't take for granted that they're always going to be around. Learn about lifestyle creep and how to avoid it. Every pay rise shouldn't equal a more expensive lifestyle. Try to reward yourself a little bit each time, but then put the rest of it into something like savings or investing. At some point, money stops to make a material difference to the way that you live, so why waste it any further? Sticking it into your pension or your investments will help your future self. You'll spend most of your late teens and 20s worrying about what people think of you. That will eventually go away, and you'll have the confidence to be yourself and do whatever you want without fear of humiliation. The sooner you get there, the sooner you will begin to thrive. Stop waiting for the right time to do something. Starting a business, investing, a career change. The right time to do that was yesterday, and the next best time to do it is now. Inaction is the most expensive habit that most people have. The people you spend the most time with will either drag you up or pull you down. Audit your circle regularly and don't feel guilty about making changes. Renting isn't necessarily throwing money away, but owning is almost always better long term. Get on the property ladder as soon as you possibly can, even if it's just a small flat. Marriage and divorce are very expensive, so choose your life partner carefully. It's one of the biggest financial and personal decisions you'll ever make. Sleep is non-negotiable, and everything else suffers if you're not getting enough. Your work, your relationships, your decisions, make sure you get enough sleep. If you're lucky enough to live at home with your parents when you first start out of work, treat it as the gift that it is. Aggressively saving and investing at that age can make all the difference to you 20 or 30 years down the line. Most people waste this opportunity by getting that car on finance, getting lots of designer gear. Switch on, save and invest, and you'll have no financial worries when you're old. Overpaying your mortgage doesn't always make the most financial sense. However, being mortgage-free will remove the shackles of employment from you. Most importantly, do what's comfortable for you. Life isn't about living as efficiently as you possibly can. Be aware of the tax brackets and the tax traps here in the UK, but don't let paying more tax hold you back from getting the income that you need to live the life that you want. Artificially capping your income at £50,270, which is the current threshold for 40% tax in the UK, makes zero sense if you're trying to increase your house size, how much you can put into your ISA. You need that money, and the only way you can get it is by paying more tax. AI is useful. Learn how to use it. Yes, it is going to replace some roles, industries, careers, but Learning how to use it will make you an asset and increase your productivity. In fact, a lot of companies I now see advertising roles almost expect you to know how to use it. Don't get left behind. Those are my 41 tips from a 41-year-old based on insights and experiences I've had during my life. As I said at the top, if you do enjoy this sort of content, then feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.